Hi everyone. Welcome to the first of what we hope is going to be many ManerMoments. ManerMoments are business insights from Costerisan, with their series of bi-weekly short discussions on topics that our clients have asked us about or topics that we think our clients might be interested in. Today's topic is the top 5 reasons to retire Excel and move to budgeting software. Reason number 1 is data integrity. The more complex your budgeting process becomes, the more likely that there are material errors in your budgets. According to MarketWatch study, 88% of spreadsheets have errors, and I can certainly attest to that. I've actually experienced that. Early in my career, when spreadsheets were first introduced, I was working for one of the big 4 accounting firms, and I helped design a kind of business planning tool for startup companies where we projected their income statements, their balance sheets, their cash flow statements. And I put it together for a particular client that we had. But after I put it together, everybody liked it, and we ended up rolling that out and using it with several clients. Well, it turned out that there was actually an error in one of the formulas, and we were over projecting what the cash flow was going to be, and nobody caught it. It took over about a 6-month period. Nobody caught the error, which is hard to believe when you consider all the CPAs and accountants and MBAs that were looking at that information. So it's really easy to make errors. According to Ray Panko, professor of IT management at the University of Hawaii, he's saying that spreadsheets contain errors in 1% or more of all formula cells. So the bottom line is, if you get a complex spreadsheet, complex budgeting solution, it's inevitable that you're going to have some errors. And so as you increase the number of people or the number of Excel worksheets or the number of workbooks that you're managing, you're going to have errors, and it's probably time to consider making that change from Excel to budgeting software. Reason number 2 is version control. Just as the risk of error increases, the difficulty of managing budget versions with Excel increases exponentially as the complexity of your budgeting process increases. Whether it's the number of people involved in the budgeting process, again, the number of worksheets, the number of entities, the number of GL account numbers, or other financial dimensions, whatever it is, the more you have, the harder it is to manage the versions of the different versions that you have. In fact, we've seen this with clients, and maybe you've seen the same thing, where maybe the budget version that you're using in your board reports turns out to not be the final budget that you approved. Or maybe the version that your managers are using to manage against, again, is not the final approved budget. If you've ever run into that type of situation, you know that your budgeting process is getting too complex for Excel, and it's time to look at maybe moving to a budgeting software. Reason number 3 is collaboration. Excel works great when you only have 1 or 2 people putting together the budget. If you have more than that, though, it becomes much more challenging using Excel because of the difficulty of sharing and managing multiple worksheets or multiple spreadsheets. If the budgeters are filling out the spreadsheets that then get rolled up to a higher level, the other issue you got is that if you put notes in, the notes don't get rolled up. With a really good cloud-based budgeting software solution, everyone's working on the same model, so collaboration is much easier. Notes can be shared. You can even implement electronic approval workflow to streamline the budgeting process even further. So if you've got multiple people working on the budgets, it might be time to think about making the change. Reason number 4, business rules and ease of use. With Excel, you can lock certain cells down and you can try to enforce budgeting rules, but invariably formulas get broken and users find a way to circumvent or distort the models. This can't happen with budgeting software because the administrator can define the rules and institute security to ensure that the rules cannot be overridden. In addition, the budgeting software generally has features designed to automate some of the processes, like signing payroll benefits, for example. This in turn makes the budgeting process much easier for the users. So if you want to have strong business rules and make it easier for your users, again, you might want to consider making the change from Excel to a budgeting software. Reason number 5, the inability to easily reforecast. This one, I think, is probably the biggest reason to make the change, because revising budgets and forecasts with Excel can be very time consuming. And if you see people hunched over the computer spending hours and days trying to do what-if analysis, for example, you know it's time to consider making a change. Besides the fact that people are probably working way too many hours, they're spending those hours manipulating spreadsheets versus analyzing performance and making business decisions. With a good cloud-based budgeting solution, you can move from what we call static planning, where you have one budget that only gets updated once a year, to active planning, where you can easily revise forecasts, you can easily do what-if analysis if business opportunities come up or if market factors change. So you can adjust those original budgeting assumptions if you need to on the fly. That's a huge value and can sometimes easily justify the cost of the new budgeting solution simply on its own. So to review what we've just talked about, there's 5 key reasons why you might want to move from Excel to budgeting software. Number 1 is data integrity. Number 2 is version control. Number 3 is collaboration. Number 4 is the ability to assign business rules, make it a little easier for your end users. And number 5 is that inability to easily reforecast. So thank you today for listening to our ManerMoments. If you had any questions, please feel free to contact me at either my email address here or my phone number. Thank you and have a nice day.